Imagine the scene. It's the middle of a cold winter night. The year is 30,000 BC, or BCE if you're a moron. You're completely alone with no protection from what might be lurking out there in the darkness. You know that there is no guarantee that you will survive this night. The fire in front of you is weak. It's already begun to collapse in on itself. And beyond the flickering light of the fire, you sense a presence. Your heightened instincts inform you that you are not alone. You remain frozen in place, holding your breath in anticipation. And then you see them. Two fiery bright, blinking eyes. Low to the ground and still, reflecting your fire back at you, the wolf has found you. Not just any scavenger, this is a highly intelligent predator that cannot easily be scared away. A predator that has every physical advantage over you. But this wolf doesn't move forward. It just waits and watches. Encounters between two predators are usually resolved quickly and violently, but instead of attacking, the wolf remains still. And instead of driving it away, you do something just as irrational. You also hold your ground. A single fragile pause and two species staring at each other across a fire becomes one of the most important turning points in the history of life on Earth. Because what's happening in this moment goes against natural instinct. Two different species making a choice. And over the next 30,000 years, it's a decision that becomes so normalized that you stop appreciating it for the miracle that it is. A dog sleeping at your feet. A dog waiting for you to come home. A dog watching you like you matter more than anything else in this world. Ignorant humans call them pets or refer to them as property, but that would be a misunderstanding. Because what you're actually looking at is an apex predator that stepped away from its own nature, and a human species that quietly rewired itself around that choice. This is not ownership. This is alignment. This is a relationship. At some point during the Ice Age, humans and wolves began occupying overlapping territory, not as allies or enemies, but as two intelligent species learning to exist in parallel. The dominant theory does not describe a sudden act of domestication. It describes a slow, unintended convergence. The grey wolves that were slightly less fearful of humans gained access to a new and consistent food source. The discarded remains from human hunts, carcasses, bone fragments, leftovers too small or too difficult for humans to fully process. But why did humans allow this? If you're living in a world where a single mistake can kill you, why tolerate such a dangerous predator hanging around at the edge of your camp? Well, the trade was asymmetric in a way that changed everything. Dogs gave humans something that we struggled to create on our own. The comfort of security whilst unconscious. Before dogs, sleep wasn't complete rest. The night was a time of vulnerability. You couldn't ever fully switch off. Your brain stayed partially alert, scanning, listening, ready to react. But dogs didn't need to think like humans. They could hear further, smell more, react faster. They became a living alarm system. And in time, humans began to trust their new companions completely, allowing them to sleep deeper and rest for longer. The shift is bigger than it sounds. Because once you can truly sleep, everything improves. Your memory improves, decision-making is sharper, creativity expands. You don't build complex societies when you're exhausted and paranoid. You build them when you feel safe, safe enough to think beyond daily survival. Dogs may have inadvertently helped unlock a version of the human race that became capable of building civilizations. And somewhere along that path, humans and dogs began to care for one another. No longer just a strategic benefit, it had become an emotional connection. Over thousands of years, small behavioural and physical changes began to accumulate. Wolves with shorter snouts, smaller skulls, altered coat patterns, changes in ear structure. This is what scientists call neoteny. It's the evolutionary process, or in this case, an engineered evolutionary process, where an organism retains juvenile, baby-like physical traits into its adult life. Therefore, by retaining their more childlike puppy characteristics, these wolves became much more dependent on humans as surrogate parents. At some point, the grey wolves were no longer wolves. They had become something entirely new. They had become an early version of the domestic dog. Archaeological evidence suggests that by at least 14 to 20,000 years ago, humans were intentionally burying dogs alongside their dead. This is not an indication of a casual relationship. This is evidence of an extremely complex emotional connection. A being is not buried with a human unless it is considered significant. These early burials suggest something profound. The bond between human and dog was already more than practical. It was emotional, possibly even spiritual. The dog was no longer just a scavenger at the edge of camp. It had become accepted as a member of the tribe and as a member of the family. From this point forward, evolution took on a new driver: human intention. Unlike natural selection, which is more environmental, human selection is directed by deliberate choice. These choices may have been conscious or unconscious, but either way, humans began to influence which dogs survived and reproduced. Dogs that were more obedient. Dogs that were more useful. That's not you. Dogs that were more tolerant of human presence. If you needed specific traits in your dog, you would encourage the dogs with those traits to breed. And over many generations, this created extraordinary diversity from the original ancestral source. Currently, the World Canine Organization recognizes 349 different dog breeds. The word canine comes directly from the Latin word caninus, which literally means of or pertaining to a dog. This in turn stems from canis, the Latin word for dog. Canine has been more popularly used as the homophone abbreviation K9, as in the letter K followed by the number 9. Homophone abbreviations are phonetic shorthand where the letter and number are pronounced exactly like the word they originate from, K9. It might be hard to believe, but virtually all breeds of dog share approximately 99.9% of their DNA with their common ancestor, the grey wolf. And they also share the same 78 chromosomes. Therefore, nearly all breeds of dog could technically still mate successfully with a grey wolf or with almost all other breeds of dog. overcoming the obvious challenges to the process, of course. It is quite mind-boggling to think that a species can look so drastically different when only just 0.1% of its genetic makeup has been altered. I wonder what humans would look like if 0.1% of their DNA was altered. Therefore, all modern dogs remain, at their core, modified wolves, which means that dogs are technically a subspecies of the wolf. So all dogs, yes, even these ones, share 99% of their DNA with wolves, which is exactly why you should keep your dog on a lead in a public place. If you're playing catch on a beach or at a park, it might be more courteous to wait for other people to not be around. And if you can see people approaching, it might also be sensible to get proper control of your dog. Or perhaps, if you can afford it, rent a private dog field.
Oh, but my little boo-boo wouldn't bite anyone.
Your little boo-boo bastard is 99% wolf beast. Put him on a lead. Fun fact, most domesticated dogs can actually raise their eyebrows. It's another advantage that they have gained from their 0.1% of genetic adaptations. This cool ability allows them to exhibit facial expressions and provides yet another way for them to express their emotions. Dogs will often abuse this ability in order to appear childlike or sad, therefore encouraging you to give them biscuits. Throughout history, wherever humans have left their mark, dogs have been depicted in artwork and with monuments. One of their oldest appearances can be found in Egypt, where the Egyptian god Anubis is represented with the head of a jackal. Anubis was the god whose role was to safely guide the dead toward the afterlife. Or at least only if you were a good soul. Because if you were evil, he would erase you from existence. The jackal was therefore revered as a protector of the dead and an administrator of justice. Although a jackal is not technically a dog, it can definitely still be considered a member of the extended wolf family. Just like the extinct direwolf from Game of Thrones, the jackal is not known to have been domesticated by humans, and it is considered to be a separate species to the grey wolf and the modern domesticated dog that we know today.
Don't turn around.
What?
Where'd he come from? Where'd you come from? What are you doing here? Canis lupus. Vulpus vulpus. I don't think he speaks English or Latin. Pensez-vous que l'hiver sera rude? I'm asking if he thinks we're in for a hard winter. He doesn't seem to know. I have a phobia of wolves. What a beautiful creature. Wish him luck, boys.
Luck to you.
Good luck.
Good luck out there.
But the fact remains that humans have had a close relationship with wolves of various types for a very, very long time. Another fun fact, there is a popular theory that the ancient Egyptian Sphinx might even be older than we first thought, due to signs of water erosion that have been discovered on its body. Giza experienced no significant rainfall for approximately 9,000 years, which pushes its origins back much further into history, possibly even predating the construction of the pyramids. And when you take a closer look, the Sphinx's head seems much newer and completely out of proportion, indicating that this could have been altered from its original design by a later generation of humans. Another popular theory being that the Sphinx's head was originally a fully formed jackal with a long snout and pointed ears. I would certainly have loved to have seen that. Regular viewers of the channel will be aware that my flying sleigh is pulled by English bulldogs and not reindeers. But these aren't actually real dogs and are in fact magic sprites that can shapeshift according to their mood. However, I do have two real dogs that live with me, Brucey the Stick and Count Frederickstein the Sausage Hunter. Or Freddy for short. That was Freddy on my lap just a little while ago. He's currently looking for a sausage, I imagine. If you study history, you will find dogs appearing in various art forms across all of known human records, where they are often associated with hunting and protection, usually depicted as an ever-present companion, revered with love and respect. In ancient Rome, they guarded homes, accompanying soldiers and serving alongside them in warfare. Across indigenous cultures, dogs became indispensable partners in survival, helping track game and pull heavy loads across harsh terrain. In every environment, the dog adapted not only physically, but socially. Dogs learned the language of humans in a way no other animal has ever achieved. And they possess a highly developed social intelligence that has evolved specifically to understand humans. No other animal, not even our closest genetic relative, the chimpanzee, can equal this. A chimpanzee might be able to solve a puzzle that could confuse a dog, but a dog is usually far better at interpreting human social cues. Dogs constantly monitor humans for subtle physical cues. The direction of your gaze, small hand movements, changes in posture, facial expressions.
Wait. Kiss him. That'll walk on. Shh. Walk on. Shh. Good boy, Echo. Walk on. Shh. Here. Come on. Wait. Lie down. Wait. Come on. Walk on. Lie down. Wait. Here. Hey, away. Lie down.
A dog can often predict what you're about to do before you consciously realise that you're signalling it. Putting on a specific item of clothing or moving toward the door might tell them that you're leaving. A glance towards a specific toy could tell them that a game is about to begin. Research shows that dogs can distinguish between happy, angry, fearful, and sad facial expressions. They combine information from both sight and sound, matching emotional tones in your voice with the expression on your face. When a person is distressed, many dogs will adapt their behaviour accordingly.
a dog, they're amazing. They're magical. It's the closest I get to spirituality, just watching a dog or meeting a dog. Wherever I am, me and Jane go for a walk every day, either in Hampstead or Central Park, and I meet dogs. Some I know now, I meet the same ones, I know their name, I meet a new one. Oh my God, that's like my heroin. I get a fix. If I've scruffled like 8 dogs in the morning, I'm set up for the day. They're amazing, they're beautiful, they've got soul, they're amazing, they're brilliant. I couldn't invent a better thing. It's 15 years of joy and then terrible sadness. I look at the dog. I want to know what it is. I want to know what its name is. I want to know what's in it. I want to see its ears do that. I like the little walk. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like a toddler.
This one is pretty cute. Maybe that's what we need, guys, is a team dog. We're about to shoot a TV show here in New York for the next 7 months. And maybe what we need is a team dog. Are you okay, mate?
You do love your dogs, don't you? I wouldn't mind having one, honestly, but I don't have any time. I don't have time.
He sits with his arms crossed all the time, and he's a Mastiff mixed with about 3 other things, Rottweiler and a bunch of other things. So he's about 90 pounds, and he's 2.5 years old. So it's like having a 800-pound toddler. Like, it's just like he walks into things. Like, he'll be looking the other way and just walk into a car. You know, like oh, I didn't see that car there. Sorry about that.
Battersea Dogs Home do an incredible job of looking after stray dogs and dogs that aren't wanted anymore. So if you love dogs, and you love cats, please support them because they need your support. Always.
Hello. I'm trying to tell a story here. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Combined with their ability to read visual cues, dogs also have another superpower. This is so extraordinary that it is difficult for humans to truly comprehend it. Humans experience the world primarily through sight, but dogs experience the world primarily through scent. The average dog possesses around 220 million scent receptors, while humans have only 5 to 6 million. Some breeds, such as the bloodhound, can exceed 300 million. The portion of a dog's brain devoted to processing smells is also proportionally far larger than a human. If the human sense of smell could read a whole page of information, the dog's sense of smell could read the whole book and tell you the life story of the author. And it might sound ridiculous, but there is evidence that dogs can use changing scent concentrations to estimate the passage of time. As smells dissipate, their intensity changes. A dog can potentially distinguish between a scent that is fresh and one that is hours old. Some researchers believe this may help explain why dogs seem to know when their owners are about to return home. Humans constantly release chemical signals through their skin and their breath. When your emotional state changes, your body chemistry changes. Fear, stress, excitement, happiness, and anxiety all alter the cocktail of hormones and compounds released into the air. Dogs can detect many of these changes. Some rather sinister scientific experiments have shown that dogs exposed only to these sweat samples from frightened humans often display increased vigilance and more stress-related behaviours. Conversely, samples from happy individuals can produce more relaxed and social responses. In effect, dogs may literally smell your emotional state. While you are trying to hide your nervousness with a smile, your scent might be telling a completely different story. This is one reason why dogs often seem to know how someone is feeling before other people do. Certain cancers and diseases also have unique scents, which dogs can become aware of. They can literally recognize illness. Every person has a unique scent signature. To us, two people might smell identical, but to a dog, each person's scent is as distinct as a fingerprint. When your dog greets you, it isn't simply recognizing you. They're analyzing your physical and emotional condition, where you've been, who you've been interacting with, what you've eaten, and all while simultaneously visually assessing your facial expressions and body language. It's a sensing layer of reality that humans are almost completely blind to. A vast visual and chemical landscape that surrounds us every moment of every day. It's why when you're on a walk with your dog, you should take the time to allow them the opportunity to stop and sniff their world, rather than drag them along at your pace. For a dog, being able to stop and smell the world is one of the most fun things about going for a walk, and one that brings them great enjoyment. Dogs have many quirky behaviours, and some can be extremely annoying. Licking your skin can be particularly irritating, but for a dog this is generally a way for them to express their love. In the same way their mother would have licked them as a puppy. It might also be that you just happen to taste very nice. Like humans, every dog that you meet will have unique behaviours that make them memorable. I used to share my world with an English bulldog called Princess Frankybella Muumuspud. That's a picture of her on the wall over there. At the same time, every evening she would come and sit next to me on the couch and literally punch me in the arm until I picked out all her ear bogies. And she had a lot of ear bogies. Dogs will show their affection in numerous ways. Some will follow you from room to room, as close proximity to you offers them comfort and safety. Sometimes they will press themselves against you and lean into you with all of their body weight. This is an action that demonstrates their trust in you, as this is a position that deliberately unbalances them. Something that they would never do in a situation requiring them to quickly run or fight. It's also something they would rarely do because they were anxious, and it's definitely not an act of dominance, as some might have you believe. It's actually one of the strongest signs that they love you and trust you. If you catch your dog staring at you silently from across the room, it's usually because they are studying your every movement for information. You are the center of their world. You are the provider of their food, their treats, the one that provides all of their fun and their affection. In their mind, you are literally a god. The question is, what kind of god do you want to be? Kind and patient? Generous and present? Or a god that is often absent and intolerant, one quick to temper, and one that governs through aggression and fear? I hope sincerely for your sake that you make the right choice. The grey wolf might be the great-great-grandparent to our beloved doggies, but throughout history, the untamed wolf has always been associated with danger, because wherever there are wolves, there is also fear. For early humans, wolves represented everything that the wilderness could take from them. Silent, efficient, hidden, until it was too late. Over time, this fear blurred into myth. I'm talking about the Wolfman. No, not that fella. His name is not Wolverine. It's Wolverine. Sorry, but the Wolverine is a weasel, not a wolf.
Embarrassingly, I didn't know what a wolverine was, and I'd never heard of such an animal, and I presumed it was a made-up name for the comic book. I'd never read an X-Men comic. I'd never seen a wolverine. We don't have them in our zoos. We've got a lot of really crazy animals in Australia.
Yes. It's not a marsupial.
So I presumed it was a wolf. It's not a marsupial, yes. I presumed it was a wolf, and I did study wolves.
We think we know the rules of lycanthropy. But here's the thing. Almost everything you know about werewolves, the full moon, the silver bullets, the infectious bite, doesn't actually come from ancient folklore. It actually comes from Hollywood. Before Hollywood got its hands on them, werewolves weren't just movie monsters. They were purely a terrifying explanation for the unexplainable. For thousands of years, humans across the globe have shared stories of men turning into wolves. But why this specific animal? How did a terrifying myth about cannibalism and black magic evolve into a tragic, multi-billion-dollar pop culture icon? Well, long before the term werewolf existed, humans were obsessed with the thin line between man and beast. The word itself comes from Old English, were meaning man and wolf, literally man-wolf. But the oldest recorded werewolf story takes us back to ancient Greece. That is actually where we get the scientific term for the condition lycanthropy. According to Greek myth, King Lycon of Arcadia wanted to test the omniscience of the big bad god Zeus, to see if Zeus was truly all-knowing. Lycon murdered his own son and served him up as a feast to Zeus. A bit extreme, but as expected, Zeus eventually found out and was understandably furious at this ultimate taboo. Zeus therefore struck down Lycon's other sons with lightning and cursed the king himself, transforming Lycon into a wolf. The punishment certainly fitted the crime, because in the ancient world, if you behaved like a monster, you got turned into one. But it wasn't just Greece. In Norse mythology, the saga of the Volsungs tells of a father and son who find enchanted wolf skins in the woods. When they put the skins on, they gained the power, agility, and the bloodlust of wolves. And for Vikings, transforming into a wolf wasn't a curse. It was a way to channel raw warrior fury. Now, you might think werewolf stories are just harmless campfire tales, but during the 16th and 17th centuries, Europe experienced a massive, terrifying phenomenon that ran parallel to the Salem witch trials. The less commonly known werewolf trials. Thousands of people were accused of being shape-shifting monsters, a form of mass hysteria that escalated in areas bordered by deep, dark forests where actual real wolf attacks were a real threat. Take the case of Peter Stump, the werewolf of Bedburg. In 1589, Germany, Stump was accused of practicing black magic and receiving an enchanted belt from the devil that allowed him to transform into a ravenous, devouring wolf. Under horrific torture, he confessed to killing and eating 14 children. Whether he was a real-life serial killer or a victim of political hysteria, Stump was brutally executed. The historical consensus? Well, the werewolves of the Middle Ages were a mixture of three very real things. Number one, serial killers. In a world before forensic science, a string of brutal murders in the woods was easily blamed on a supernatural beast. 2. Ergo poisoning, a fungus that grows on rye bread which causes intense hallucinations, spasms, and paranoia. And 3, clinical lycanthropy. A genuine psychological delusion where a person genuinely believes they are transforming into an animal. Think modern day furries, or twats as I prefer to call them. By the 19th century, real wolves were hunted to near extinction in Europe, and consequently the fear eventually died down. But due to cultural terror, the werewolf entered into popular literature as a metaphor for our hidden, darker desires. Most famously inspiring Robert Louis Stevenson's The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But the werewolf as we know it today was actually born in a writer's room at Universal Studios. In 1941, screenwriter Kurt Siedmak penned the script for The Wolfman, starring Lon Chaney Jr. Siedmak, a Jewish man who had fled Nazi Germany, channeled his real-world trauma into the script and created a fictional monster that couldn't control its fate. Just like the Incredible Hulk, a normal, good man who is suddenly branded with a destructive curse he cannot control. From ancient Greek kings to 1980s practical effects masterpieces, the werewolf has endured because it represents something deeply human. Vampires represent elite, calculated seduction.
Stand up! I've been double-crossed by the devil!
Ghosts represent the past.
It's right here, Ray. It's looking at me.
He's an ugly little spud, isn't he?
I think he can hear you, Ray.
But the werewolf is the reminder that beneath all our fancy clothes, our technology, and our polite manners, we are all just animals trying to keep our inner beast on a leash. The werewolf was never really about wolves. It was more about humanity's relationship with its own capacity for violence. A symbolic mirror rather than a biological reality. While myths evolved, the real animal remained constant. Today, dogs serve in ways early humans could never have imagined. Guide dogs for the visually impaired. Search and rescue teams locating survivors in disaster zones. Therapy animals supporting mental health. We have police and security dogs, detection dogs that can identify substances, diseases and danger. Dogs can even be action movie stars.
You can do it. I got you. Easy, fella. We can still do this. We've been through worse.
It's not the size of the dog in the fight that matters. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
No, you did not. One last mission. We're not gonna die out here. Buddy, I got you.
Wow, that looks like my kind of movie. Over thousands of years, humans have encouraged the dogs with desirable traits to reproduce with with dogs matching those traits. For each generation, those traits become more and more pronounced. For example, if a shepherd wanted dogs that naturally gathered livestock, they would breed only the best herding dogs together. Hunters bred dogs with exceptional scenting ability, while others selected for strength and speed, intelligence, size, or temperament. Over many generations, these repeated choices amplified the genes responsible for those characteristics. The result is the remarkable diversity that we see today. From the tiny Chihuahua to the towering Great Dane, from the powerful Mastiff to the agile Border Collie. All dog breeds are genetically the same species, but have been shaped through human selection to excel at their different roles. In essence, selective breeding is engineered evolution, guided by humans rather than nature. Instead of the environment deciding which traits survived, humans decided which dogs would pass on their genes, gradually creating the hundreds of distinct breeds that we see today. In Japan, sometime in the 1920s, a dog named Hachiko would walk to a train station every day to meet his owner, until one day his owner didn't come back. Hachiko was an Akita dog whose loyalty became legendary. Every day he accompanied his human to the train station and would return every afternoon to greet him when he came home on the train from work. In 1925, Hachiko's human sadly passed away. He passed away unexpectedly while at work, and therefore he never returned. However, Hachiko continued to go to the station every single day, waiting patiently for his owner's arrival. He did this for nearly 10 years, until his own death in 1935. If you're into uncontrollable sobbing, I highly recommend the Richard Gere Hollywood movie adaptation called Hachi. You will cry.
I know now why you cry.
Hachiko's unwavering devotion touched the hearts of thousands of people and transformed Hachiko into a national symbol of loyalty, love, and faithfulness. Today, a bronze statue stands outside Tokyo's Shibuya Station, where people from all around the world gather to remember the dog who never gave up waiting for the person he loved. For 10 years, the same time and the same place, the same expectation, waiting for someone who was never coming back. You can try to reduce that to simple conditioning, but conditioning fades when it's no longer reinforced. This didn't. For 10 years, it persisted. But what exactly are we looking at when we see this kind of behaviour? Because it doesn't look like simple instinct. It looks like a commitment without negotiation. And if you're ever lucky enough to visit Japan, where are you going? Trying to tell a story here. If you're ever lucky enough to visit Japan, I highly recommend seeking out one of the many statues of Hachiko. Would you like to go to Japan? Yeah. I think we'll have to get you a passport first. Yeah, or we could just fly in on the magic sleigh. No one needs to know. Hachi's daily visits to the station were not just acts of reasoned hope, but of enduring loyalty. His behaviour reflected a dog whose life had been built around one person, and whose powerful instincts, memories, and emotional bond compelled him to return to the place where they had always reunited. His story remains one of the clearest examples of the pure love that dogs are capable of expressing for a human worthy of it. When you walk through a door, dogs do not evaluate you against your history or your potential. You are accepted as you are in that moment. Psychology calls something close to this unconditional positive regard. Amongst humans, it's rare. From a dog, it's their default state, and a consistent state that stabilizes humans more than they might realize. A dog's happiness comes from much more than food and shelter. They thrive on companionship, on routine, purpose, and love. Spending time with the people they are bonded to is often their greatest source of joy, as close interaction releases the hormones associated with trust, comfort, and happiness. If your dog ever makes you angry, try to remember that they have the intelligence of a 2-year-old child, a 2-year-old with an overwhelming desire to be with you and make you proud. Dogs are happy when they have opportunities to play, explore, sniff new scents, exercise, and use the instincts that they were bred for, whether that's retrieving, herding, tracking, or simply solving simple challenges. Consistent routines help them feel safe and secure, while praise, affection, and positive experiences strengthen their confidence and their emotional well-being. But above all else, dogs are social animals. They don't measure happiness by possessions or comfort alone. They find it in shared experiences, meaningful relationships, and feeling like they belong. For most dogs, the greatest of all rewards is simply being close to the people they love. This is why your dog is always so excited to see you when you return, and this is why their world falls apart when you're gone. So please, don't be the person that leaves your dog alone all day.
Ooh, this is, are you guys feeling the same thing I'm feeling? Like a little, yeah, it's pretty high. Wait, hold on. Hold on. What is it? You guys hear those dogs on there? Yeah, I do. Yeah. Quiet! Shut your dog up! Shut your damn dog up! The neighborhood is sick and tired of your dog! No more dogs are barking!
Choosing to share your life with a dog is a very serious commitment, and one to be taken only if you can fully commit to be as loyal a companion to them as they almost certainly will be to you. Just like your bro, Santa, a dog is not just for Christmas. But it is a relationship that is definitely worth making sacrifices for. Modern research consistently shows the measurable effects of dog companionship. Reduced stress responses, lower blood pressure, increased social connection, improved recovery outcomes in clinical settings. But the most important effect cannot be measured easily. Presence. Dogs provide a form of companionship that is immediate, non-verbal, and consistent. They do not understand human status. They do not evaluate success or failure. They only respond to presence itself. In my personal opinion, there are two types of people in the world. People that love animals, and that other group of complete scumbags.
Are we all becoming too dog friendly? From coffee shops, restaurants and retailers like IKEA, Zara and John Lewis, dog friendly spaces are becoming easy to come by. There are 13.5 million pet dogs in the UK, and 36% of households own at least one dog. But people who are allergic to dogs or afraid of them say that the rise of these dog-friendly spaces is a concern. One woman with the extreme fear of dogs told the BBC that she feels trapped and only goes out on special occasions due to the lack of dog-free zones. She's one of the many seeking support in online groups who offer advice on how to avoid them. But a coffee shop owner whose brand is underpinned by the dogs says that they're part of the family. What do you think? Has it all gone a bit too far?
I'm quite famous for being known as a saint, and therefore I always try to discourage any form of violence. But if there is ever a war between dog lovers and dog haters, well, the whole world will very quickly discover why I wear red.
Salsa water and lemon for blood. Or wear red. Dumbass.
Cats, horses, lizards, you can have a great relationship with any animal, but as we have established, dogs are particularly special. And if during your lifetime you are lucky enough to develop a close bond with a dog, you will have been truly fortunate. It is a love that is very difficult to equal. The only real bad thing about sharing your life with a dog is the fact that there is a strong possibility that you will outlive them.
Sir?
Not all dogs reach old age and pass away gently in their sleep. And like everything else in life, not all veterinarians are made equally. Sadly, some will only be interested in financial profit. I therefore strongly suggest taking the time to seek out the most recommended medical pet care that you can afford. I can only pray that if the worst day arrives, that you will be provided with compassionate and honest advice. In their final moments, your dog will look for you. Throughout their entire life, they have looked to you to solve their problems, to comfort them and satisfy their needs. And when the end is approaching, they will feel a need for your presence more than ever. The kindest comfort that you can provide is to remain by their side. It will require great strength, but there is obviously no other choice. Whatever it might cost you emotionally, be with them at the end. Your dog will know that you are there, and it will help them. Losing your dog can leave a wound deeper than almost any other. The love you receive from a dog is one of life's purest gifts, free from expectation, judgment, or complication. They become a daily source of comfort, filling our lives with moments that quietly release joy, calm, and connection. Their presence eases our anxiety. It encourages routine, improves our health in numerous ways, and reminds us every single day what unconditional love truly feels like. And then, one day, they're gone. What remains is not simply sadness, but a heavy, suffocating absence, a silence where a heartbeat once existed. Perhaps the hardest part is that this grief is so often underestimated. Society rarely acknowledges the death of losing an animal companion, leaving many people to mourn in quiet isolation. Yet, anyone who has truly loved a dog knows that they were never just a pet. They were family, a confidant, a constant presence through the ordinary days that became extraordinary in ways that words could never convey. The pain is not only emotional, It is a pain that settles into your body and your soul. But it is the price that we must pay for a love so complete, so loyal, and so unconditional that even after they have gone, they continue to shape who we are. When someone that you truly love passes away, a piece of your heart will always leave this world with them, leaving you with an emptiness and a terrible pain where it existed. But this is a necessary pain, because that piece of your heart travels with them, providing great comfort as they begin their next journey. But of course, your heart is much more than just blood and muscle. In fact, it's actually a magical doorway to a dimension where a never-ending supply of love can flow. And in time, your heart will infinitely regrow any number of missing pieces. The story of the dog is not a story of dominant control, but one of convergence. Two species, once competitors in a hostile world, have slowly reshaped each other through proximity, necessity, and time. Civilizations have risen and fallen, borders have changed, languages disappeared, but one very special relationship has remained intact. A wolf became a dog, and in doing so, it became something else entirely. A partner, a companion, a constant in an unstable world. The oldest friendship humanity has ever known. Perhaps the most successful alliance in the history of life on Earth. Possibly the entire universe. So when you look at a dog now, whether it's a golden retriever stretched out on the living room floor, or a French bulldog wedged into the corner of a couch in a city flat, don't take this miracle for granted. You're looking at the result of one of the most successful cross-species relationships ever formed. Two highly dangerous predators overcame fear in order to choose cooperation. In a world that is increasingly fragmented, accelerated, and transactional, it's a relationship that still holds. Two different species that didn't really need each other, choosing each other anyway.